cry when he said it. He was standing in the doorway of my studio, one hand on the frame, the other scrolling through his phone, already half gone. The smell of turpentine still hung in the air. My latest canvas was drying near the window, of muted blues and uneven light. I had been working on it for 3 days. "Jessica will join us for the anniversary dinner," he said. "Try not to be jealous." Not everyone gets your moody artist thing. Smiled when he said it, like he was offering me a favor. I lifted my brush, pretended to study a corner that didn't need fixing. "Course, honey," I said. "Why would I be jealous?" He leaned in and kissed my forehead, already relieved. Problem solved. Emotion managed. When he left, the room went quiet again. Only the soft tick of the wall clock remained, painting for another 10 minutes, then stopped. My hand was shaking too much to pretend otherwise. This wasn't new. Over the years, feelings had learned how to shrink. When I felt overlooked, I called it sensitivity. When I felt lonely, I called it independence. When he compared me to Jessica, her confidence, her laughter, her normal job, I told myself he didn't mean it. "Understands people," he'd once said. "You're more internal." Internal, like a problem that stayed hidden. Washed my brushes slowly, dried them, put them back in their jars. Then I opened my phone, stared at Daniel's name for a long time before typing. We hadn't spoken in months. He was Jessica's fiancé, polite, observant, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. He had once complimented my work without turning it into a joke. I wrote, "We're having our anniversary dinner on Friday. I'd love if you could come too. It would mean a lot." I hesitated, then pressed send. Didn't feel brave. It felt necessary. The restaurant was softly lit, all warm gold and quiet music. My husband had chosen it because it looked impressive in photos. He was already seated when I arrived, adjusting his jacket. "You look nice," he said, distracted. Jessica arrived 10 minutes later in a fitted green dress, perfume announcing her before she spoke. "Oh my God," she said, hugging him. "I missed you." She turned to me. "Hi." "Hi," I replied. We ordered, they talked, I listened. They shared stories I hadn't heard before. Jokes I didn't understand. Memories I apparently wasn't part of. Once, she touched his arm while laughing. He didn't move away. I watched my reflection in the wine glass, composed, quiet, almost invisible. I told myself I was being dramatic. Then the door opened. I heard it before I saw it, the pause in conversation nearby, the shift in air. Daniel walked in. He looked around, spotted us, and hesitated. Then he smiled politely and approached. "Hi," he said. "I'm not late." Jessica froze. Her hand slid off my husband's arm. "What are you doing here?" she asked, too sharply. Husband turned confused. "You know him?" Daniel looked between us. "I was invited," he said gently, "by her." He nodded toward me. Silence spread across the table, not dramatic, not explosive, just heavy. Jessica's face drained of color. "You invited him?" my husband asked quietly. I met his eyes. "Yes?" "Why?" I thought about all the ways I could answer. "Because you dismissed me, because you humiliated me, because I was tired of being small." Instead, I said, "'Cause he's part of her life, and this is part of ours." Daniel pulled out a chair. "Is it okay if I sit?" he asked. No one answered. So he did. The waiter returned with our food, unaware he was walking into a fracture. Conversation restarted slowly, awkwardly. Jessica barely spoke. Daniel was calm, attentive, polite. He asked about my paintings. He remembered details I'd mentioned months ago. He looked at me when I spoke. My husband noticed. I could feel it. Halfway through dinner, Daniel said softly, "Jess, you never told me you and Mark were this close." She stared at her plate. "We're just friends." He nodded. "Friends usually don't forget to mention anniversary dinners." Another silence. This one sharper. My husband's posture changed. Shoulders stiff, smile gone. He looked at me. "You knew," he said. "I knew enough," I replied. He didn't raise his voice. Neither did I. Was the strange thing. No one was yelling. No one was crying. But something had shifted. For years, he had narrated our relationship, explained it, framed it, softened his behavior with charm. Now someone else was watching, and so was the truth. On the drive home, turn on the radio. "I feel blindsided," he said finally. "I feel that way often," I replied. He glanced at me. "Since when?" Almost laughed. "Since always." He was quiet. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "I know," I said. "You just didn't think it mattered." We stopped at a red light. For the first time in a long time, he looked uncertain. "I didn't realize you felt so erased." Watched the traffic pass. "I didn't realize I was allowed to show it." Later that night, I returned to my studio, stood in front of my unfinished painting. It didn't need fixing. Neither did I, but both of us needed honesty. Know if our marriage would survive. We hadn't solved anything. Apologies were still clumsy. Trust was still thin. What I knew was this: I had stopped disappearing, and he had finally noticed. Not because I shouted, not because I punished him, because, quietly, I had made the truth unavoidable.